Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm doing something different. I'm going to be reacting to a YouTuber that reacted to my video about living in Nigeria and sharing my experience here. Now, I've watched a video carefully and I respect her perspective, but I think there are some important points that she missed. Let's break it down point by point. She says that the issues I raised, poor infrastructures, electricity problems, high costs of living, and new, that they've always been there, so basically I shouldn't complain. But here's the thing, just because something has been a problem for years doesn't make it okay. Should we just accept that bad roads, unreliable power, or broken systems because they've been broken for decades? The attitude, it's always been like this, is exactly why nothing improves. If no one talks about it, if no one pushes back, we are just normalizing suffering. And I'm not okay with that. I'm here to represent the average Nigerian who doesn't have a generator, can't afford solar panels, and can't just DIY their way out of everything. So you expect the average Nigerian that earn 100k, and this is not a joke. There are people out there, majority, that earn 100k or even less every month. You want them to take out of that 100k and pay for solar system. You want them to take out of that 100k and do borehole for themselves. All of these amenities, you want them to provide for themselves with that 100k. That is literally impossible. In my video, I was actually not just referring to people abroad. I was also indirectly talking about the situation for the people living here. Yes, it might be easier for the people abroad to do it, but what about the people here? What happens to them? Then you say, don't complain about it. Point number 2, other states are not like Lagos. Go there. So there's always this thing where people are like, okay, what are you doing in Lagos? Lagos is overcrowded. Go to other states. That is just crazy. It's crazy talk, right? So here it is. She also suggested that Lagos isn't the only place in Nigeria, and maybe I should try living in other states. But let's be honest here. Lagos is the economic heart of Nigeria. It's where the jobs are, where the businesses are, where the connections happen. Yes, other states do exist, but if you're someone who wants to hustle, who wants opportunity, Lagos is where you have to be. Many other states barely have anything to offer in terms of serious opportunities or exposure. So why I respect the point, telling people to just leave Lagos isn't a real solution. It's more like sidestepping the issues. In as much as I understand that some people that are moving back from abroad, they might have more resources, right? And some of them might actually be retiring, so they might just be moving to Nigeria to, like, you know, relax and live. And they might want to live in these areas like you've mentioned. It's more like for slow living. You get, it's like going to the countryside to live in the abroad, because I mean nothing really happens there. But if you're someone that needs to hustle, you have to be in New York, you have to be in the major cities, right? So whenever someone makes a video talking about Nigeria and Lagos is their first point of view, it's like talking about Italy and talking about Milan. It represents Italy. That is the major city. So whenever anyone hears about Nigeria, the first state they talk or they hear is the popular one, which is Lagos. So hence using Lagos in the first place. But then again, it's not everybody that is moving back that wants to go and relax or that wants to go and retire. Some people are actually moving back to Nigeria to hustle, probably because they are tired or they're just finishing uni and they feel like they want to come back here and do something. So you want them to go to Abeokuta or to go to Osun State to go and live. How does that make any sense? Somebody please tell me. Point number 3, you should praise the country. Now, maybe she didn't say this directly, but the vibe I got was that she wanted me to focus more on the positives. Like, don't just talk about the problems, praise the good things too. And look, I do believe Nigeria has potential. I love the spirit of the people. Like, trust me, Nigerians are resilient. They are happy people, creativity, the hustle, but praising the country blindly while ignoring the struggles of everyday Nigerians, that is not helpful. Too many people want you to act like everything is fine, even when they themselves know it is not. And when you point out these problems, they say you are being negative or unpatriotic. But I think the real patriotism is wanting better for your country, not pretending everything is perfect. And look, guys, there's been this saying, I'm sure if you're not a Gen Z, you probably have heard it growing up. It go better. Since I was in my mother's womb, I've been hearing that word. But it doesn't, better. It's just get worse. They are good at keeping hopes alive. But that doesn't mean that you should ignore the obvious, which is the country gets worse by the day. And showing the few development, few roads that are paved, that even when it's done, sometimes if a little rain falls, everywhere is flooded, and it's so good. Pointless. Point number 4, people should fix things themselves. That is DIY. She also seems to suggest that people should just handle things themselves. Do it yourself. Find your own solution. But let me remind everyone, DIY is expensive. It is not an option for the poor or struggling. Not everyone can afford to buy a big generator, install inverters, or fix their water supply privately. Most Nigerians live paycheck to paycheck. Like, I'm not joking. It is real. They deserve basic services like clean water, working roads, reliable electricity from their government, not forced to DIY everything. Bear in mind, in my video, I never compared Nigeria to any other country or to the system abroad or to the life abroad. The only thing I was doing was pointing out the obvious for people. And if you look at the comment section of that video, most people they think things have changed. Right, because they want to believe things have changed. I mean, it's been decades upon decades, and we are still where we are today. And then, how do you want the average individual that earn 100k a month to have an inverter? There are people that live in huts along the street. How do you want them to put solar panel on top of their huts? Where do you want them to drill a borehole to get clean water, to treat their water? And I don't get it when people like this say things like this. It kind of baffles me because there is no individualism. No, will not get anybody anywhere when everyone wants to do it yourself. I saw a comment on, I think it was on a video, and somebody said there was this guy that had everything done for himself, and he has everything. He has good, his environment was good, but life happened. Nigeria happened to him. He went to another state, got sick. He didn't have access to all the things that he has here in Lagos, that he has built for himself, all of that, all of that private things. And unfortunately, they couldn't treat him. They ran out of oxygen and he passed away. That is what happens with individualism. And telling people to do basic amenities that the government is supposed to provide for them on their own is diabolical again. Number 5, she said, the problems are just part of the Nigerian experience. Oh boy. Another idea she hints at is that issues are just part of the Nigerian experience and you have to take it or leave it. But why should we accept hardship as part of our national identity? Why should we act like the only way to survive in Nigeria is to suffer in silence? We need to stop romanticizing struggle. It's not noble to live without basic amenities. Nigerians deserve more, and they deserve people who will speak up for them. Look, like I said, Nigerians, if somebody might have not eaten all day and you ask, be like, they okay, no worry, it'll go better, it's gonna be alright, And that energy is good. In as much as it's good, doesn't mean that it should be ignored. It doesn't mean that we should use it as the norm. It's not the norm. I mean, suffering is not the norm. Seriously. And when someone tries to point out things that are not good, that are there, and you're like, no, don't worry. We don't, okay, we know. So forget about it. Why are you talking about it? We know it's there. It's been there for decades. In fact, someone made a comment and said that Nigeria has been like this since 1960. And why am I surprised? Why am I not surprised? I expect improvement. Just as you've seen me travel out, and when I come back, you want to see some improvement. You want to see some changes. The same thing. I expect improvement, movement. Just because it's been like this since 1960 doesn't mean it should remain like that. Overall, I respect her for sharing her perspective, and I get that maybe she's speaking from her own experience or circle where things are manageable, but I'm focused on the average Nigerian, the people who don't have access to shortcuts, who are tired of hustling just to survive. My video wasn't just about shaming the country, it was about raising awareness, starting a conversation, and maybe, just maybe, pushing for change. Nigeria has potentials, but potentials don't feed people or fix roads. We need to talk honestly about what is wrong if we want to see improvement. So again, like I said, that video was not basically just for Jackwadians, like they said, just people moving back. It was also me expressing concerns about the situation for the people here, because when I step out on the street, I see the struggle every day, and sometimes I wonder, how are these people doing it? How are they surviving? It's difficult, So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you agree with her point? Do you agree with mine? Have you faced these same challenges? If you haven't seen my original video, go check it out. I'll link it in the comment below. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more honest takes on life in Nigeria. In my next video, I do broke down the cost of living in Nigeria, how much I'm spending monthly, so subscribe so you don't miss that.